Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills and today I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Hello.
Cal Wing.
Hello.
And Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Hello.
The full squad is back.
It's good to see, isn't it?
I like the four-man pods.
Long time coming.
As always, you can get in touch with us on all our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And we just released the Woking video on YouTube.
Yep, very good. Well done, Cal. Another one in the bag there for you.
Another masterpiece.
I don't think I did anything on that, boys. That's all credit to you two there. Bruce and I sat back and well, I think tears came to my eyes first time I watched that.
We actually had a listener message us today, literally tears in eyes was the sign off. So
yeah, we've got to extend a thank you to Andy from Heath on Blog, who hosted us down there a few months ago and then put us in touch with the guys down there. And Woking truly is a fantastic golf course, and if anyone gets the opportunity to go there, I highly suggest it because it's just an absolute worldie. It's a great course.
very good, very good. Well, hopefully, if you haven't watched it already, please do. It's a cracker.
We've got a few things to go through today. We've got obviously so much golf since we've last spoken. We've had the US Am, which I think we're going to chat through. Dustin's 11 through 11.
His blow up.
The explosion. Yeah. The 11 under par explosion. Scotty Scheffler's 59. We've got some good news for our Brucey and obviously the Women's Open. So we've got loads of stuff we can go on with.
I'd also like to revisit the new regular section. What's going on in Cal's workshop? So we shall look forward to that segment towards the end.
Cal Wing's workshop and Sam Swing.
We're very excited.
So much tinkering on both sides, probably.
So where do we start then?
Well, I think we should start with the US Am. It was a there was obviously some controversy. So let's talk about the major controversy. Do you guys see that caddy that got his player DQ'd by scrubbing around in the bunker for a while?
Yeah. That was yeah. I mean, there's not much you can say. It's just an absolute no-go, isn't it?
It's just obscene, isn't it?
I'd heard he was relatively sort of new in terms of being hired at
I didn't. I heard the opposite, actually. I thought he was a fairly experienced caddy.
Really?
He can't have been that experienced because his cap was on backwards.
Yeah, and he just bottled it under pressure always. Yeah.
Well, either way, it's not good, isn't it? Well, that's the thing. I think he then tried to deny it. And so he's basically gone into the bunker and started fiddling with sand and literally like he's trying to make sandcastles, that type of thing. And cameras right there. And of course, playing partner, whoever he's playing against, has sort of said, that doesn't look quite right. And I think everyone's seen it anyway and tried to deny it. And I think it was either going down, I think it was going down the 18th. So, of course, it's just automatic loss of hole, but because of where they were in the match, it was loss of match as well. So it was literally game over.
And hadn't he been on a bit of a comeback, Pinto, who ended up being penalised for it? He ended up playing, well, that match was against the eventual winner, wasn't it? Tyler Strafacci. So, yeah, he's had a particularly memorable week, I guess. His Oppo's caddy has just handed him a match in the round of 16, and then he's gone on to win. So
yeah,
that'll be a great story for the grandkids.
Exactly. Said he didn't want to win that way, but
some victory as well in that final, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great. So I think on the Sunday night, because they're sort of 8 hours behind, I think I was sort of monitoring the scores certainly for the first 18. And at one point he was about 5 down. And he's got it back to, I think, 1 down at lunch. And at that point, I think I've pretty much gone to bed. Yeah, wake up and it's managed to get the job done, albeit it was tight though. I think he was 1 down, got it all the way back up to, so he's gone 2 up with something like 3 to play. He's, lost 16-17, and eventually went on 18 in the end.
He's lunched well there, hasn't he? He's lunched strong in your book, Cal.
Exactly, but quite a nice story as well.
The weather looked like fantastic for the first half of the second 18 in the final, and then just all of a sudden this like epic fog just descended on them, didn't it? And you couldn't like Bones is walking around commentating on. He was like, "Yeah, sounded good. No idea where it's gone."
Yeah,
it was just brilliant. It was really good theatre, actually.
Yeah, they stayed dry all week. There was quite a bit of wind, and then they had to battle with the fog. But Bones was very entertaining as well. He was I think he's brilliant walking the fairways on the mic. It's very good.
Controversial question. If that was let's say that was a USPGA or a US Open they were playing there, would they have suspended play under those conditions?
Yeah, I think so. If you had more than two men out there, which in any other normal comp, obviously there'd be 50, 60, 70 players out there, then yeah, I think so. And to be fair, I think it only really started coming in on the last 2 or 3 holes. I think they had enough people out there to watch to be able to spot 2 balls that it was fine.
Yeah, it looked pretty severe into the stroke play qualifying. I know quite a few guys had a pretty tough time with the draw because it got so windy on the afternoon of the first day of qualifying, and they were kind of behind the 8 ball really from the get-go there. But it looked like as you guys said, the last few holes in the final were of sort of different magnitude in terms of how severe the weather was. But I mean, aside from that, I thought Bandon looked pretty spectacular. It kind of, I know you were only watching it from the comfort of the armchair, but it still looked like it lived up to its reputation and all the hype that surrounds it. And it would be brilliant to get out there at some point.
Yeah, definitely. No, I really like that. And another cool story, sort of watching coming out of Tyler Stafacci, the winner, his grandfather won the US Public Links in the 1930s, which is pretty cool. Whilst playing in sort of 4 or 5 US Ams, by the sounds of it, might have even, I think if memory serves me right, I think he played a Masters and a few other little bits, which is quite cool. And I actually saw this year, Tyler's also won a big regional thing at Palmetto, which was quite cool. And also at
North and South, I think. Was that
and then he won, I think North and South might have been the one at Pinehurst. Anyway, he won something, maybe it was that one at Pinehurst and something else at Palmetto. But I think his grandfather had actually won the North and South as well, which is quite cool. So he was just saying it was cool to be first family member to win the AM, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. So what's the route for these dudes now? Do they traditionally they go on to make pro from here, or do they just stay exempt?
Yeah, well, so Tyler will be exempt to play in next year's Walker Cup team. The winner of the US Am is straight in no matter what, so he's in. He's got a ticket to the US Open, the Open, and the Masters. So he's sort of set on that for the next year or so, really.
And they just sit on that then. They sit on that and then possibly just work out where they want to go pro after they've done those events. Because obviously, if you turn pro, you give all that up. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah. So you can only exempt as an amateur.
Although I think they have brought in reform on the US Open. You might want to double check that, but I'm fairly sure that maybe since last year, US Am winners who've qualified for the US Open can forego their amateur status and still play in it. Or there's certainly been mooted, that point has. So might want to double check it, but I have a feeling I heard it somewhere.
Okay. Just while it's topical, someone who won't be playing as things stand in November at Augusta National, Daniel Berger, current world number 13.
Why?
Cannot get a spot in the Masters.
I agree with this. Though,
no, that's
because
not right.
You have to freeze it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So what happened is the Augusta National set the field back in March when the tournament was postponed, and I don't think at that time he had. I don't think he'd earned a spot. So now we're in November. He's playing probably the best golf throughout the summer months that anyone else on the PGA Tour has.
That is
He's world number 13, and it's like, how ridiculous is that?
So I've got a feeling he will still get in because Augusta have always got this reputation of they can do whatever they like with the rules. as opposed to their tournament. So I guarantee he will get a last-minute invite nearer the time.
It still feels like chancing it, though, doesn't it? I mean, if I was the 13th best golfer in the world...
No, they will. They won't. They won't let the 13th best golfer in the world miss out. And they've got that rep of sort of more or less doing what they want.
They want a high strength of field, don't they?
Do you think that will be then? Do you think that will be at the expense of number 50, or will they just chuck
No,
it at the
they'll
end of
just,
the
if
field?
they go odd numbers, they'll go odd numbers. Whatever.
They'll put a member out.
Because they've got that guy. They've got, what's his name?
I've forgotten the guy's name.
Oh, come on, Cal. This is classic Anorak knowledge that should really be distinguishing us.
This is right in your wheelhouse, this is, Cal.
I've got it. Jeff. His first name's Jeff, and it will come to me.
This is just obscene pressure.
Jeff Knox, boom, got it. So he's a member at Augusta, member at Peachtree, plays off. Always been an amateur businessman, but plays off like +1, +2, and he's just a bit of a legend. If there's ever an odd number, you make the cut. Jeff comes in, so he's played with Rory, Ernie. I think he played with Pepperell about 2-3 years ago. And they all say this guy's unreal. Apparently his putting is just insane, like tour level.
Unbelievable.
Really?
Well, to be fair, the way things are going, I mean, Jeff Knox is more likely to qualify for the Masters than Eddie Pepperell, the way things are going at the moment. So, ouch.
I don't know. He's got a chance at the Belfry this week.
Yeah, but a little shot at redemption for him there.
Well, I think it's frozen though, isn't it? That's the point. So I don't think he's getting in whatever he does.
The Belfry. Oh,
I think in general, though, I mean, the question is, is he going to get it back on track? But anyway.
So we've also had the Women's Open, Sofia Popov. Quality performance.
Very emotional stuff on the interview.
Yeah, it was.
I followed a couple of the early days on that. I know that it got criticised, didn't it, to start with? I think there's a couple of notable absences from the sort of world top 20 of the women's game, but man, Troon looked difficult. I mean, that really was a leveler, wasn't it? And it looked brutal.
Yeah.
Well, we had friend of the pod on Iona. She was putting her stories up, and it was blowing. Like, you couldn't hear a word she was saying on her stories. It was just blowing an absolute hoolie. Like, how they play golf up in Troon is beyond me. But quality performance. She was talking about how she was going to quit the game last year, wasn't she? And she was pretty much down and out with it all, and was convinced to stay on, and then turns around and wins the Open. What fucking
She
story.
was caddied for Annie Van Dam about 4 or 5 weeks ago when the LPGA Tour sort of got going.
Really?
Probably sort of help out. I don't know, get some money in the bank, something like that. Yeah. So I'm not actually sure on that case. I'm not sure how that works of how she got into the Open.
Well, she qualified about a month ago. She played in an event which, So she only got into the Open through going through qualifying, essentially. Yeah. So it's a real kind of Michael Campbell-esque story of sorts. And yeah, I mean, as you touched on there, Tom, I think she's battled some health issues in the past, Lyme disease, and everything that brings with it. Unfortunately, I think she talked about being so fatigued and to the point where she considered quitting golf. So it's a real, it's a real tearjerker.
It's just a great story
that
she
won, and looked really composed as well. I mean, to shoot 7 under when most of the field were, double digits over par, that takes serious courage and skill. So hopefully she goes on
impressive.
and kicks on to be a real star on the LPGA, kind of like Oosthuizen did in 2010 when he kind of came from obscurity to win the Open and then ended up becoming one of the men's game's most established players. It'd be cool if we saw something similar from Sofia.
Well, you talked about sort of a Michael Campbell-esque story. It's a very neat segue, Bruce, into a friend of the pod, Jonathan Yarwood, who obviously famously taught Michael Campbell, was famously part of teaching him that flop shot that he took around Pinehurst for the week, up your left nostril, risk-free. Bit of controversy on Twitter this week, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, so for those of you who don't remember, Jonathan came on the pod a few months back, who was the coach of Michael Campbell when he won the US Open. And he's dropped a recent tweet on, this was a couple of days back, about a question of sport. So it said, a question of sport's a great show. I went on a recording once when Michael Campbell was on, and Matt Dawson said to me, "You screwed me right up, mate. You're Stuart Morgan, right?" He said, "No, I don't screw people up. I'm Jonathan Yarwood." So he put this live, and obviously Stuart Morgan's on Twitter, and he was a former, he's a former PGA pro at Hilton Head as well. And you've just got all these people coming out of the woodwork going like, what the fuck has Stuart Morgan done wrong? Like, why are you attacking Stuart Morgan just so you can drop Matt Dawson's name on a tweet? It's just absolutely barbaric. Anyway, like, you've had so many people come out of the woodwork, like Phil Kenya and a few of these guys just come out and said, look, Stuart Morgan's quality, like proper good PGA coach. What's he playing at?
Did anyone take any shots at Yarwood and his 2005 Porsche that Michael Campbell bought him, or has that not been in the firing line?
It's not been a widely reported story outside of Cookie Jar Golf, actually, that, Bruce. But it's something that certainly is interesting. But anyway, we digress. It's a small point, but I think there is some interesting goings-ons in the world of Twitter. And it was nice to see us, following our Woking video, trending in at probably the second hottest bit of news on Sunday in the world of golf, right behind Sophia Popov's win. So
I think it was just behind Pizza Express Woking, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You search Woking, you get a Pizza Express, and you get Story of a Golf Club by Cookie Jar Golf. So I think it'll be some time before we pass the famous Pizza Express incident, but we
will need them to go into administration before we pass that story.
That has happened, and it has.
I think next on the list is your workshop around with Prince Andrew, isn't it?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever seen anyone care less about somebody's 59 because that's 60 that should have been better? I mean, Scotty Scheffler got basically no coverage because Dustin came on blazing.
He was also out very early in the day, wasn't he? And a lot of it had already happened.
But there wasn't much talk about him. There was just a lot of talk about, coming out 11 under through 11 holes is just genuinely spectacular.
No, it was carnage.
Well, he could have not played that round. He could have not shot that 60 and actually just sat at home and still been in the playoff for the victory. Won by 11 shots. I mean,
it was, as you say, it was sort of 53 watch at one point.
Bonkers.
And it's
7 under through 5. Then he goes and birdies that really long par 3 on the back nine. Is it the 11th?
Yeah, he stopped at 11, didn't he?
And actually just, knocks it in within 15 feet, certainly 2 or 3 times coming home, and then pulls out driver, rifles one 340 up the gut on the 18th and dribbles into that sort of grassy knuckle so that he can't go for the green. It was just, it looked like the easiest 60 anyone's ever seen on TV, if that term exists.
Well, I've talked about this a few times in terms of regression to the norm, and people are talking about Dustin in terms of a blow up, but actually, if he'd have had 7 pars to start and then went on a birdie rampage, they would have been saying he's amazing, and it's just all normalising itself, isn't it? But it's a shame you didn't get to see two in one day. That would have been spectacular. But I think they were throwing darts at that track, weren't they? It wasn't posing them many questions.
Well, Dustin was on a different stratosphere, or in a different stratosphere, I should say, this past week. To go and shoot 67, 60, 64, 63 and shoot 30 under was just absolutely bonkers. In fact, your close friend, Kevin Kisner, Cal, I'm sure you've been WhatsApping with him. He said... I
had some money on him.
He said when Dustin's playing well, he just gets out the way and tries to, get a decent paycheck for the week. He's not, he's got no concern with winning because that's how good Dustin is.
Just a quick one on jumping out the way. What did you think about, Answer missed the cut and he was playing with Dustin in that second round, and the commentators were talking about those guys just playing quickly again out the way because they were all there in awe of Dustin. Do you think that's a thing, or do you think they were just playing for themselves for their check? And
I've started looking at it a bit more closely since Sam first pricked my ears up to sportsmanship at the PGA a few weeks ago, and Koepka getting Casey home. Well, mate, it was good. It was a good call, and I definitely thought I saw that from Mark Leishman and Answer in DJ's group on a couple of occasions. I think it's good sportsmanship, isn't it?
they're going to want to see it, aren't they? They want to see someone hit 59. It's because rare enough to be on the same course, let alone to be in the group.
Yeah, I mean, it stands in marked contrast to I don't know why it sticks in my mind. You guys might not even remember it, or may not even have noticed it at the time. But when Gary Woodland won the US Open at Pebble Beach last year, I think he drained a long putt on the last, and Justin Rose had like this sort of 10-footer for, finished tied 7th. So Woodland's hold this putt, the crowd is going nuts. He's won the US Open, and Justin Rose proceeds to take sort of 2, 3, maybe even 4 minutes lining up and aim pointing this putt for bogey in a 78 to finish 7th. And everyone else is just like, what is going on? It was
the strange etiquette.
That's why you will never get me doing aim point.
Well, I mean, aim point or otherwise, I always thought in a major tournament on the 18th green, the person who's, essentially either for the win or is certainly going to win, the other person just gets out the way, holes out, gets the ball out the hole regardless. So honour kind of just, and whose turn it is to play just falls by the wayside. But interesting. I mean, some good golf, and obviously not far from heading into Eastlake. So it should be interesting. Cal, can we dial in on what's been going on in your workshop recently? When we last picked up with you on the pod, you'd been fiddling away and creating, I think, 40-inch length putter that was up the sort of Bryson, sort of up your left arm, funny grip concoction. I played with you at Porthcawl that week, and you were rolling the rock quite nicely. Just give us a bit of a breakdown of where we're at with the flat stick.
It was all right. Yeah, no. To be honest, that's the only time it made it out. I was sort of off for a couple of weeks after that, and it was interesting. It was good to experiment with it and sort of get a feel for the arm lock and that sort of thing. Maybe I don't think it was quite the putt to try and do it, but anyway, as of this morning, it's been chopped from 40 inches to 34.5 inches, and
oh no.
It's going to go.
But you're not even using it, Cal. You've had a different putter in circulation for the last 2 weeks.
I don't know.
Now you're building another one.
I know. I'm just going to give it a go. What
about the grip, though, mate? Because that grip occupied a good sort of 40% of the total length of that putter. So is that grip?
Well, that's gone. Yeah.
The grip's gone. So it had two rounds. Quite a big, pricey grip, that, isn't it?
Probably, yeah, but got to try it to find out.
I mean, it's irrelevant, Bruce. We're in search of the magic wand.
The grip came off this morning. It's gone into the vise. It's been cut down, and a standard Scotty grip is on the way, which is going to go on.
Wow!
And go a few late nights over candlelight then over this one.
Oh, that takes me.
Keep us posted.
Takes me a minute to whip that on, and then we'll be good to go, I think.
Do you think it's not time though you stopped fiddling with the putters and started fiddling with the grip? Maybe
it's a road of greatness.
Maybe go anchoring, maybe, or left below right. Just
what are we searching for, Cal? Maybe that would help our listeners sort of understand, because I think you said famously on the last pod that you'd been through something like 25 putters in the last sort of 5-10 years. What are you searching for with the
27 putts?
Okay.
Until I hit that, I won't
just miss a ton of greens and you'll do it, won't you? Just miss a ton of greens and you're bound to get up and down.
Get better at chipping, nothing to do with the putter.
Yeah, mate, just start missing greens and chipping it in close.
Exactly, yeah. Well, you got to get the stats better, somehow. So if I start misclubbing or delibery hitting left, right, and then just get up and down.
Maybe we need
that's
to
probably
start
easier,
tracking footage hold. Maybe go for 100 feet of...
It's not far away. To be honest, I'm just fussy. There's probably no reason to change, but until it's 1, 2, or 3 strokes better, then I'll keep playing.
I think that's an interesting one, though. I mean, I will always defer to Bruce as the better golfer of the pod on these matters, but putts per round to me have always seemed like a pretty bogus stat, really. They don't tell you much. How much attention do you guys, the rest of you guys actually?
Well, if you think about it, the way I see it, and I've been guilty of this in the past, is that people really don't pay that much attention to your putter, but you're using your putter probably. I mean, some people it's 40-50% of their strokes per round, so you're sort of playing with the driver or fitting with the irons, and there's just one single club that is used 40-50% of the round. And I think you got to get it right.
But I'm pretty confident I could hole a putt from 6 inches with the leg of a chair. It's just not, it's not that hard to do.
6 inches, 6 inches isn't the problem.
Well, yeah, but it is that. But it's within that arbitrary number of 40 to 45%, isn't it? You're counting tap-ins there. If you excluded all your putts outside 2 feet, then you're going to come up with a very different number. And I'm not sure inside 2 feet whether it really matters if you've got the absolute
40-inch
specification
arm
of
lock,
one that you need. Yeah. I mean, like, I'd be wary of putts per round. It might give you an indication, but it is still quite arbitrary because you could be hitting the ball all over the place. But if you're chipping it in close and then holing 3, 4, 5 footers.
Oh yeah, I'm not being too. Yeah, it's all of that's taken into consideration, and yeah, I'm not too harsh on myself. But in general, I'm looking at the sort of the good rounds where you can shave 2 or 3 off, and the better players are doing that. And it's there's just not enough. There's occasional wobble from sort of like 5, 6 feet, but then it would just be great to hole more 10 to 20 footers.
And that's the interesting thing that I look at. So, I mean, sorry, Bruce, but I kind of looked at that Lou Stagner stuff with the stats. Obviously, works with Scott Fawcett, Decade Golf. Looking at that, PGA Tour Pros. What's the holding percentage from 8 feet? I think it's 50%.
50% from within 8
right,
feet.
and then it literally hockey sticks from there, doesn't it?
Well, there was a really good thing by Phil Kenyon that he put up a couple of months back now, that he said that outside of 12 feet, a touring pro has 5 putts go in outside of 12 feet for every 4 rounds they play. So 1.25 per round. I think it was outside of 12 feet. And he was talking about managing expectations for us. It's like, we think we should be rolling these in, but actually even the tour pros are really looking at doing it 1.25 per round, which, is the difference is their approaches are a lot closer, and that's how they're getting their scores in. But it was quite. I'll have to dig it out and retweet it or something. But it was a quite good thing about managing expectations.
There's so much depth you can go into, and funny, I was talking. I was discussing this with your brother on Saturday, Bruce, and I know he's trying to tap into Phil Kenyon and sort of find out various stats and see what's going on that way, and there's just so much you can do.
I've got this holy grail that I'm seeking in my stat, and I wonder where you guys sit on this. Is that so? I'm an 8 handicapper, and I have this goal that I'm going for, which is I'm desperate to play a round that's got 12 green in regs and up and down 50% of the time, and that's like just these 2 things are like this, like my holy grail of stats. And I feel like if I do that, well, it's going to be 3. Be 3 or better, isn't it? Over, and that's my target for rounds of golf.
Yeah, you've got a good chance at least.
What do you think about that sort of
you got a very good chance?
I'm not thinking about maybe score, but I'm looking at this. I want to get 12 green in regs, 2 putt when I'm on, and then go for 50% up and downs.
Yeah, I think that's good. No, I think that's a smart way of taking like pressure off yourself and removing the obsession we can all easily suffer from with the score. Certainly, yeah, like 12, 13 greens around, that's just something that's pretty, good to shoot for. And if you get up and down 50% of the time, and you don't 3-putt, then as you say, you're going to be in for a good round, Mills. Obviously, that's assuming that you don't, blaze one OB off the tee, or you don't short side yourself to the extent where you can't get it up and down. But that's the thing about stats in golf is there are no stats, or there's no neat, tidy way of really capturing everything. There are so many different variables and so many different ways of doing it. You just kind of have to look for like broad patterns. But yeah, if you're going to hit 12, 13 greens around, like you're never going to be far away from par, I wouldn't think. As long as you're not losing
tee balls,
shots off the tee.
Well, yeah, I can be doing that. So even if I'm hitting like, I don't know, say 11 fairways around and somewhere similar on the greens and reg, but then you've sort of got 33, 34 putts around. That's when pressure comes on the putting.
Well, what I'd say with putting is it doesn't really matter if you're not holding much outside of 8 feet, but you can't be 3-putting from
No, exactly.
40 from like inside 40 feet. That's unacceptable in my book.
Exactly.
But yeah, and actually, like, you know, there are often times where I'll go through rounds and I don't actually have many sort of 5, 6, 7 footers. They'll, you know, because that's if you're on the green in 2 and you've hit your first putt, if you've knocked it more than sort of 3 feet past, that's pretty clumsy, isn't it? And if you've got a straightforward greenside chip, then you might be able to chip it inside close and knock it up to 2-3 feet or something. So it can definitely, you know, swings and roundabouts as far as the footage of putts that you hole.
I suppose the other thing that can be misleading is that we're all saying that, you know, certainly Cal is saying the 27 putts is the goal, but then in reality, if you hit every single green and you had 36 putts, you've gone on another par.
It's a slight pinch of salt. Depends what else you're doing, but if you're there or thereabouts on your other stats, and then at the moment for me, it's just the putting is just standing out a bit too much. But there we go. Want to work on, want to practice. The thing that doesn't help at the moment, but I know it's the same for everyone, is we have to leave the bloody pins in. And when it's fucking windy and everything else, it's just so annoying.
Well, we've had a couple, didn't we? I mean, we played on Saturday, Bruce, in the 36 hole, which, you know, you won. Played fantastic.
Congratulations, Bruce.
Huge congrats. I mean, it was a really good back 933 and a spectacular bogey on 8 that could have been an absolute disaster. I was in awe of the last 11 holes, to be honest with you, under the pump to win a big gross tournament like that. But we had a few where pins in there, and it was howling, and it's pointing right at you. And I think there was a couple of times where I'm socially distanced using I could have probably done with your 40-inch putter shaft, actually, Cal, to actually peel the pin back a little bit. Because otherwise you can't actually get the fucking ball in the hole. You're just looking at it thinking that thing's going to hit it and come straight back at me.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty disconcerting, isn't it? So
let's be honest, of all things in the world, I mean, you're not going to get COVID from a flag stick here, but that's a different matter altogether, isn't it? It won't be long till we'll be taking them out, I don't think. But
no, it'd be good. I like to see a clean hole, and especially from sort of 20 feet and in.
As always, if you have any opinions on any of this, please do get in touch. But it's been a pleasure having you along for this pod, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.
Thank you.
Au revoir.
This.